How does a Hollywood fairy tale turn into a global horror story? In 2022, the world stopped to watch a trial that had nothing to do with international politics or criminal masterminds. Instead, two of Hollywood's most famous faces, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, were locked in a brutal courtroom battle, broadcast live for the world to see. He sued her for $50 million. She countersued for $100 million. But this was never just about the money. This was a war for their reputations, their careers, and the very truth of their story. The shocking headlines and viral clips told a tale of heroes and villains. But tonight, we'll uncover the stunning, little-known details that prove the reality was far more terrifying. This is the story of how a passionate romance descended into a toxic nightmare, destroying careers, fortunes, and leaving a legacy of ruin in its wake. Long before the scandal broke, their story began like a classic Hollywood script. Johnny Depp was more than a movie star. He was a cultural icon. The enigmatic, impossibly cool actor who transformed into beloved characters like Captain Jack Sparrow, captivating audiences and earning hundreds of millions of dollars. He was the king of quirky, the master of transformation, a man who had curated an image of effortless mystique for decades. Then came Amber Heard, a fiercely ambitious and stunningly beautiful actress on the rise. They met on the set of The Rum Diary in 2009, and the chemistry, they both said, was electric. He was the established legend. She was the fiery newcomer. After Depp's long-term relationship ended, they began a whirlwind romance that culminated in a private island wedding in 2015. On the surface, it was perfect. The ultimate power couple, merging rock and roll cool with classic Hollywood glamour. But could this fairy tale really last forever? The dream shattered just 15 months later, in May 2016. This was the inciting incident, the spark that would ignite a firestorm. Amber Heard appeared at a Los Angeles courthouse, her face visibly bruised, to file for a temporary restraining order against her husband. The photograph of her bruised cheek went viral instantly. The accusation was explosive: domestic violence. The public was stunned. How could Captain Jack Sparrow, the gentle, eccentric hero to millions, be capable of such a thing? The battle lines were drawn in an instant. Depp vehemently denied the allegations, but the damage was done. The first crack in his carefully constructed empire had appeared. The world had seen the picture, and for many, that was all the proof they needed. No one could have predicted the war that was about to unfold. For years, the narrative seemed simple. Depp was the powerful man, Heard the victim. But as the legal battles escalated, the full, shocking truth began to emerge, and it was far more complex and disturbing than anyone imagined. The story's climax wasn't a single event, but a slow, horrifying reveal of mutual toxicity. During Depp's libel case against a British newspaper, and later in their televised U.S. trial, the world was given a front-row seat to the ugliest moments of their marriage. Audio recordings were played where Heard could be heard taunting Depp, admitting to hitting him. "I didn't punch you," she said in one recording. "I was hitting you." It was a bombshell that complicated the victim-villain narrative. But then, there were the horrific text messages from Depp, fantasizing about hurting her, and testimony about his violent, drug-fueled rages. A UK judge found the allegations against Depp to be substantially true, concluding he had assaulted Heard on multiple occasions in fits of rage that must have been terrifying. It wasn't a case of one monster and one saint. It was a portrait of a deeply broken, volatile, and destructive relationship. A folie à deux, where both parties were capable of inflicting immense pain. On social media, they were a meme. In reality, they were two people trapped in a devastating cycle of abuse. The chain reaction of destruction was absolute. a nuclear blast that leveled both of their lives. Roles. Because of the public war with Depp, the financial toll was catastrophic. Legal fees spiraled into the millions. The final verdict in the U.S. trial ordered Heard to pay Depp more than $10 million in damages, a sum her own lawyer admitted she, absolutely not, could afford. It was a house of cards collapsing in public, and the whole world was watching. Their attempts to control the narrative only made things worse. They were fighting a war on two fronts, one in the courtroom and one in the court of public opinion. Depp's first major move was suing the British newspaper The Sun for calling him a wife-beater. He was trying to reclaim his name, to prove his innocence, but he lost. The judge sided with the newspaper, giving official weight to the accusations against him. It was a devastating blow. So he doubled down, suing Heard directly in the United States over a 2018 op-ed she wrote in the Washington Post, where she described herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. She never named him, but everyone knew who she was talking about. This led to the televised trial that became a cultural phenomenon. For 6 weeks, their most intimate, humiliating, and painful moments were dissected by lawyers, analyzed by news anchors, and turned into viral TikToks. They were no longer people. They were characters in a real-life soap opera, and everyone had an opinion. Today, in the aftermath of the verdict, the dust has settled, but the ground is still scorched. Johnny Depp won his case in the United States. The jury found that Heard had defamed him with malice. For his millions of fans, it was a moment of absolute vindication. His career has begun a slow, cautious comeback, mostly in independent films, and he has begun to tour with his band. He is attempting to piece his life back together. For Amber Heard, the future is far more uncertain. She became one of the most hated women on the internet, subjected to a relentless and vicious campaign of online harassment. The verdict left her facing financial ruin and a reputation in tatters. For many, the outcome of the trial was not just about two celebrities. It was a symbolic blow to the #MeToo movement, creating a chilling effect that could discourage other victims from speaking out. In the end, the story of Depp and Heard is a dark fairy tale for the modern age. It's a cautionary lesson about the destructive power of a toxic relationship.